This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you by FanQuest, happening June 23rd and 24th at the Red River College Exchange District campus. Go to fanquestcon.com for tickets and information.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. Today, we thought we would try something a little different and invite our long-suffering producer.
Why do you think we're all suffering?
We suffer. Anyone who has to spend this much time with me is suffering. And my long-suffering co-host to be on the show today, Dan, is going to talk. Well, we thought we'd turn the reins over to Dan.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically. What are we going to talk about today, Dan?
I have questions for you guys. I've been meaning to ask you. Now, I've learned, I have to say this, after 3 months of podcasting, how long have we been doing this?
Yeah, we were just figuring that out. 22 episodes, something like that, right?
Almost 3 months. I've learned a lot about what you guys do. That's part of the reason why I wanted to do this, is just to learn more about what it means to be an artist and to sell your work at conventions and that whole thing. And we've learned a ton about that. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about how you build your audience, who your audience is. As you know, I'm running a con coming up in June, FanQuest. Go to fanquestcon.com for more information. And I want to know who I should be trying to attract, who I should be marketing to for this convention. I want good customers to come to this event and buy a lot of your stuff. So
we're not up to that. That's not up to us in some regards. I'll say this about all these 22 episodes: we've learned a lot about our job too.
Yeah,
I think, right? Like having to go on record, Justin, wouldn't you say, has like
it's true. Yeah,
polished the edges of what you think about.
Because so many of us, like we never talk out loud about these things. We're all kind of in this alone for the most part, right? We kind of sit behind our screens and paint, and then we do conventions, and then we come back to the screen, and we don't talk about the nitty-gritty very often.
Right. And there's something, I think, that solidifies your notions of things once you have to say them out loud. And then when you listen back to it, we listen back to check the podcast for its,
quality control.
That's the word I'm looking for. You find yourself reflecting on your own answers in a way that I did not expect to happen making this podcast.
Have you noticed the way you talk about conventions in your job now? 4 years ago, the way you talked about it and the way you talk about it now has changed? Just your answers and...
Oh, maybe I think the questions have changed.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true? Like people ask different things when you were starting out than they ask now. And there's this like patina of admiration and knowledge that they think, you have the answer because you've survived that long. Mm-hmm. Like the grizzled old veteran, that's who we are now.
I remember PCP pipes and when you couldn't take card transactions.
Oh, man. Then the days before Square.
The days before Square.
Oh, my God. When you would use actual change before you figured out how to round up your...
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, man.
So, okay, here's a question. Do you guys... Now, you set your prices for your stuff. Round it and make it even, $20, $25, whatever, so that you don't have to give out change. Do you have to worry about taxes or anything like that at all in the different places you travel to?
So, yeah, we have to register for state taxes. Like, we have to pay, like, when we're in the States, we have to pay our state tax.
And you just came back from
Seattle? So, for example, in Washington, all the conventions are really good about this for people coming in from out of state.
They give you a tax form.
Yeah, Emerald City Comic Con
okay.
will supply a Washington state tax form for you to fill out and submit. And it's, like, super... easy to do. It's not this stressful monumental thing.
The trick is
I was afraid of.
If you're fine with claiming your earnings, there's nothing to fear about traveling over the border. There are some people who work in convention land who, find it a little bit more nerve-wracking, I think, because they're not being as forthright with the monies they make over there.
Okay.
But since we aren't worried about that. It's not something we have to be.
So is it just like
about.
you figure out how much money you made over the weekend and then take a percentage of that, and that's the tax. Is that how it works?
Basically.
Okay, so that's but the customer doesn't worry about that.
The customer doesn't. No, and so that's the trick, right? We have to worry about our taxes. Our accountant has to worry about our taxes, and Ottawa has to ask us about our taxes. But we want to make sure that the customer has no barrier for math.
Right.
Like it really comes down to that. It has less to do with like us trying to be generous with like including the tax, and more to do with the average person who's making an impulse purchase sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. Having to calculate an extra $1.72 somewhere along the way is enough to dissuade them. Whereas if they just, take out that folded 20, oh, it's $20. I happen to have $20.
There you go.
Which most people who come to a comic convention hit an ATM or hit the bank before.
Yeah.
They have like their budget in 20s, and that's usually what we see, right? Like a bank envelope of like money, and like this is what I get to spend over the next 4 days.
People on a budget. And then the other thing with that is you round up or round down. So like some things I have, it's actually a little bit of a loss to sell it for 20.
Oh.
But the ease to sell it at that price point is worth it increases the number of sales.
And you make money on your other things.
And then you make money on the other things. And then other things we round up to 20 to kind of offset that, and I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that sounds about right. My prices are totally based on ease for the customer. I think about changing them from time to time. I'm always on the lookout for other people who might have a smarter pricing, and I've seen some things I might want to try at some point. But I really, I don't want to have to hand out a lot of fives, and I don't want anything to do with change, and I don't think anybody does on that floor. Yeah.
And so do you adjust for the exchange rate? You were just in the States. Do you charge less American than you would here in Canada?
So I did on the books. I was willing to make a better deal if you were buying more than one book if you were in the States because of the exchange, but I did not on the art. And I didn't on the art because I walked through. It's interesting you say that because I wondered about that. This is... But you just walked around. I just looked around on the 6th floor at Emerald City Comic Con, what all the American artists were charging for the comparable size and print quality and colors and that. And, they were all charging the same. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So in really a trip to a U.S. con, and Justin, you do this quite a bit, could be more profitable for you.
As a Canadian, if the exchange is good, sometimes
it's not good for us. If we were to go shopping in the U.S. Convention, but for you as a retailer, as a seller,
it does a flip for us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, where you lose it though is in the printing they have to do there. You have to pay in American, and then your travel you have to pay. Right, you have to pay your hotels. You have to
tables.
Tables are all
cheap.
in American. Yeah. So it kind of that's partially why we don't adjust the price, because it all has to wash out on both ends of our budget.
Cool. Yeah. And how was the con, by the way?
Emerald City was great. I've been going there for 5 years now. So the first 3 years I was in Artist Alley, and then the last 2 years I've been in the vendor hall. They did a bit of an arrangement switch. It used to be Artist Alley and vendors were all on kind of the same floor, and now they've changed it so Artist Alley is on a top floor, and the vendors room has gotten bigger, which I've never really liked when conventions did that, when they separated the artists in like another building or another room and put the vendors somewhere else. I've never really liked that.
I understand their logic, but it's one of those things that there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. But I want to say this about Emerald City Comics. First time I had ever done Emerald City, and I did 25 shows last year, and this show had the most comics at it of any comic convention I've been to in the last couple of years.
Most comics, like just
people selling self-published comics, people selling like resellers of comics, like Golden Age comics, people with trade paperbacks at a discount, like actual
comics.
Way more.
Truly a comic convention.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like the comic publishers were all there. Boom was there, Dark Horse was there, Image was there. And the 6th floor Artist Alley was just like.
The artwork at Emerald City is I do close to 30 shows a year. I only buy artwork at Emerald City because the artwork at that show seems to be above and beyond anything else.
The Artist Alley is organized by the alphabet, like they organize it alphabetically into sections, but really it's all AAA artists in there basically. Like there was some people that.
And is it jurred? It's a little jurred, right?
I
can't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm new.
We were in vendors, so we didn't have a juring process.
To be fair, I got in because Connor McCready, who writes Kill Shakespeare, among other things, couldn't make it to the show, and he had a spot in vendors and said, I've talked with the show runners and forwarded them your work, and they said that we could swap out spots.
Nice.
I think really what he wanted to make sure is that he kept chain of title on that spot. So he didn't want it to go to me. He just wanted to arrange with the showrunners for me to take over temporarily.
Still his spot, but you were selling your stuff at his spot.
Right.
So this way he gets dibs on it next year.
That's right.
That's right. Shop smart. Shop S-smart. You got that?
Getting back to the whole Artist Alley and vendors thing, again, I think about this as well. Now we're a small convention, FanQuest. We're not to the point where we're going to have like a separate Artist Alley, but I was never really, I kind of understand that idea, but I like to mix things up as well. Why do you think everything should be mixed together and artists shouldn't be separated out?
Well, and I had kind of a question here too about somebody who's run a convention and be involved with running a convention. Artist Alley and vendors. Like, what is the definition of the person supposed to be in Artist Alley, and what is the definition of the person supposed to be in vendor?
Well, the way things are shaping up for FanQuest, almost all of our vendors are artists. It's just the way it's gone. Like, I think we have one or two retailers as far as collectibles stores or video game stores. I think we have one used video game retailer, one collectibles, maybe two if this other person comes on board, and but everybody else makes their own stuff. And so that, to me, that's what the definition of an artist is somebody who creates their own products, whether it be comics or prints or knitted things or stuffed animals or whatever. They've actually created the things themselves.
Right.
And that
not
is
had it manufactured.
Not ordered it in from somewhere else
right.
and resold or reselling old SNES cartridges and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, is the definition of an artist as far as like putting them in an Artist Alley kind of a thing, which is what a lot of where did that start? Did that start like back in the day? Is
okay,
that
so now some of this is just my opinion, but a lot of that is sort of wool gathered from talking to other artists at a lot of different shows, New York Comic Con in particular. There's like a class system that seems to have remained in comic book land that's left over from this notion of like comic shows used to be this, and this is how they should be. Right? It should just be the comic book makers and the artists and the writers, and they should all be in their own space. And because a lot of those voices who are extremely talented are voices I think that the conventions are listening to, they're saying, okay, well, we'll put you in your own space so that you don't have to worry about the cosplayers as much, and you don't have to worry about the guys selling Transformers toys as much. But I think that is, in hindsight, a really narrow viewpoint. What about the people who came for toys who could discover an artist?
Right. Yeah.
What about the people who came for cosplay and then discovered, somebody doing a pen and ink drawing of a character and seeing the actual craft that goes into it? By separating the two, the accidental cross-pollination is absent. And I think that in the long run, that hurts, the industry.
Yeah, so we're mixing it up. We did it last year. We only had the one space in FanQuest last year, like the one main hall. So we did mix things up. Again, mostly artists. Like I found the artist community here in Winnipeg to be very supportive of us, and we're very grateful for that. Our new space at Red River College sold out in like 2 days. If that, it was like boom. We put them up, and they're like, yeah, we're getting in. We have like a 20-person wait list, so lots of people want to get in, which is great. Now I feel it's my responsibility as a showrunner to bring in the customers. And that's my job, to promote the show, to get people to come. Part of what we do at FanQuest is we want it to be an inclusive experience. So you pay your $20 at the door, whatever the price is, and that's all you have to pay except for buying stuff. So when you do everything else,
so no autograph fee, nothing like that.
No autograph fees, no Q&A fees, no reserved seating or anything like that. It's all like, you can go and play in a video game tournament. You can go play a tabletop game. You can go, and we want all that stuff to be inclusive as well, because another thing we've noticed at some conventions is that, you got your tabletop gamers there, but sometimes, again, they seem to be separated. Yeah. And nobody kind of feels like, oh, I can just walk in and start playing, which is it's what these people want. I've talked to these guys. They want new players. They want people to come in and try
what I
it.
like about that, just as a concept, right, is that if I have an 8-year-old and I have a 6-year-old, actually just turned 7, they could come in and see all that stuff, even though I might have an agenda. It's like
you didn't have to go to another room to see.
That's right. Like I might be super into one aspect of a comic show, right? And I always go to Artist Alley, and I always want to check that stuff out. I want to see the way the sausage is made, sort of. But
you know how the sausage is. You make the sausage.
Yeah, everyone makes it different. The spices are all different, and I'm always looking for the secret, right? But my kids are, they're around that. That's like, oh, Dad, this is what you do. Who cares?
I can't believe that your kids think that way. You're a comic book creator. That's pretty cool.
Okay, they're into it in the way that an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old can be into things. Okay. But I think as they get older, the mysticism of it, like other people, my father was a stockbroker, and other people find that to be like very peculiar as a profession. But to me, it's just like, oh yeah, that's how the stock market works. It's not a big deal. Because I grew up with that as dinner time conversation. So that's what they have. But what I was saying is that if I bring them on what I want through a show that isn't so stratified, right? If everything's all mixed up, then we're passing by all these opportunities for them to see all these other aspects of it. Literally on a fan quest.
There you go. That's part of the reason that's the name of the show.
So I like that.
I feel like this is turning into an infomercial for FanQuest. I don't want it to be that.
Okay, let's talk badly about FanQuest for a while, and then you'll feel okay.
All around the world, from as far off as the Caspian Sea, people have been running up the bill and acting like idiots. Why must you be one of them?
Because now it's my turn. I mean, don't you want to go over there and talk to him and see what he's like? I mean, William Shatner made us who we are today.
But do you want to insult the man? Just respect his space.
I do respect his space. It's the final frontier.
Okay, so let's talk about your audience and your customers. Before we started recording, Justin, you mentioned that something about you have to kind of establish your presence at a certain con before you start to get repeat business.
We were talking about that this weekend. I've been going to Emerald City for 5 years, and a couple of my other friends have been going there, for 3 years, 2 years kind of thing. And we've noticed around the 3-year mark is when the customer loyalty and return customers really become apparent. A lot of people coming up saying, we were looking for your booth. We're so glad you're back. We want to get, we have 8 of your pieces already. We want to see what's new. That conversation happens around year 3.
Yeah, and I can give a good example of that because it's my 3rd year doing Vancouver, right? It was my 3rd time doing the Vancouver Fan Expo, which is just above Seattle. Right. And so Seattle, which was a new show for me, I had lots of people who it was like, oh, I've never seen this before. Oh, I don't know about these books. Oh, your art is different, whatever. And it felt like I was resetting. It was like back at the beginning of my career for a whole portion of it. But then, there was at least a couple hundred people who came down from the Fan Expo in Canada. They do both shows.
Yeah, because
Toronto and Seattle are
an hour away from each other.
Yeah, and so I felt I could see really clearly the difference between my new potential customer and my old loyal customer. And
somebody you've won over already.
Right. And what was really fascinating to me, because I haven't had this clear a delineation between the two at a table in a long time. The old customer that was standing there, their enthusiasm for the work became infectious on the people who were just browsing. Like, someone ran up and they're like, oh, you're here. I didn't get your stuff at the last show. I missed it. It was the last day and you were sold out or whatever. I'm going to take this. 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 And,
everybody else's eyes just
and then the people around them feel like, what did I miss? Like,
there is something. Whenever you go to a new show, you've got to plant somebody to do that.
Yeah.
You've got to get somebody. You can do it to each other. Yeah. Justin, come up to Greg's table and say, hey, you're here, and then do the vice versa.
Dear listeners, if you want to be part of our street team, please reach out to us on social media.
This is also why we're always we stress the point of making new stuff so much. Like we run into a lot of artists who are getting grumpier and grumpier because they go to the same show year after year after year with the exact same portfolio that they started with. And around year 3, they have taken a nosedive in sales and traffic, and they're wondering what's changed about the convention.
Yeah, and what's changed is that they haven't changed.
Right. Yeah. And that's the case for almost. I used to work retail, and that's the case for every retail outlet is you always have to have new inventory. You can't just keep the same inventory in your shelves and expect to sell it.
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of idea. Now, do you guys quickly, just as an aside, do you debut your new stuff at conventions? I know do you sell stuff online as well?
I do. I always sell it for a couple months at conventions before it goes online. So
we give preferential treatment to the people who are boots on the ground with us.
Yeah, that makes sense too. That's like, and people, so that gives people a reason to come to the convention to get your stuff first. Yeah. It's like the difference between watching a TV show live on cable. If you don't have a cable subscription, you have to wait for it to come out on DVD or something like that. Right. You know what I mean? So that's the difference. But no, that makes sense totally. So
it's also so much funner selling in person. When somebody says, "Oh, I'll just get it online," it's almost like disappointing.
I have no joy. I find no joy in shopping online. I actually kind of hate it. I really don't like it.
You know, there's another part. Maybe the masochist in me likes this part. You can also see people who hate your work face to face.
Oh.
And I think that is really important as a creative person, right? Like, so you set up at your show and you put your display together and people will walk by and you can watch their body language. And if their eyes widen and they turn, they square their shoulders towards the booth, right? There's their interest. You see the opposite of people who seem like, oh, this is not for me. They scrunch up their face and they turn away and they just
those two people are usually friends.
Yeah, and sometimes, and sometimes they're friends. But that, love it or hate it, as long as you feel something, right? That's the key. Like art that makes people go, meh. Right? That's when it cuts. When someone's like, hey, honey, what do you think about this? And they just shrug and they're like,
not for me.
That's when I'm like cut right to the bone. It just...
Greg, so he just drops.
Oh, yeah. I don't mind if they hate it. And I like it when they really like it. But if there's just apathy, then I have failed as an artist.
That doesn't happen very often, though, does it?
Sure, plenty. Well, I mean, think of there's thousands upon thousands of people that stream by over the course of a convention. We were there for 4 days.
4 days. Oh my God.
How big is this? How many people at the show?
I want to say it's over 100,000.
Okay.
I don't know how.
I don't know what the final numbers were this time.
Yeah. So that to me sounds like one of the biggest shows, other than San Diego on the West Coast.
Like San Diego and New York are like toe to toe, and then Denver, Emerald City are really big as well. I'm not sure where it goes from.
But is there anything like as far as the West Coast goes? There's not really a big convention in Los Angeles, is there? Is there?
I believe there's probably
small.
Well,
DesignerCon is in LA, and they're
WonderCon.
huge.
Yeah, WonderCon's not that big.
So we are also Canadian. So if there's anyone listening who knows, which U.S. shows we should definitely be checking out, just let us know.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about your customers then, and your repeat customers. So these are people. Do you find that in marketing we like to talk in terms of demographics and generalities, and I don't know that that's always the best way to go about things.
Well, we can talk about one of them in particular that it's always true.
Okay, what? Tell me.
Right? Here's something that's always true, no matter what field you're in. Right? It's just economics. 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your repeat customers.
Yes.
Right? And that's true no matter whether you sell shoes or art or, rocket ships. Right?
I want to buy rocket ships.
Yeah, right. We'll talk to Elon.
Oh, you're on a first name basis.
We'll put a good word in
Mr. Musk.
with Elon. Yeah.
Musky.
It's Mr. to you, yeah. But that part's true. Right?
Okay, but what does your repeat customer look like? Like, do you notice certain things about them? Are they a certain age range or,
Yeah, so one of the things, so when Justin and I set up side by side at a show, people say, well, don't you feel like you're competing against each other? But our customers, he's shaking his head vigorously, no. Our customers are so different that we rarely cannibalize sales from one another. But when the Venn overlap happens, we usually get someone who gets from both booths. So why don't you talk about who your people are? And then I'll tell them by contrast who
I think a younger couple, like between like 20 and 30, like a couple who's into nerdy things together, they'll each find stuff that they like at my booth. Like, oh my God, there's Secret of Nim. I love that. I grew up with that movie. Oh, and he's got like the Gundam stuff too. So, and then the way my pricing structure works is always the more you get, the cheaper it gets, kind of thing. So they always find two that like really draw them in. They find like two more that they agree on. They both like. So that younger couple is always almost like I can see them coming. It's like I know I'm going to make a sale to those guys. Like, they're going to buy something. I can tell already just by the eye contact. And then...
And if I can just interrupt for a second, just observe that it's not insidious. This is literally the democratization of art, right?
Right.
We're selling stuff that if you were putting it up in a gallery, right, and we do gallery shows and we do stuff in original, we would ask $500 to $1,000 for the originals. But here, as a print, a person that likes something can pay $10, can pay $20, and they can have the same joy as someone, right? It removes class. That's my favorite thing about this. So when we see people who are like, oh, and they're going to be our customer, it's not because, right, we're like, oh, there's the mark, right? Oh, that's the Rube. It's that here's something we made where like our excitement and their excitement matches, and we have taken down the barrier of the gallery to allow them access to it. And that's like my favorite thing about going to shows.
We're both, it's kind of nice. We don't have to be pushed. We don't need to sell it to them. It's right there. There's nothing really more to it. If you like it, you're going to go for it. If you don't like it, you're going to walk away. It's not like we have to sell it to them. It's just like, it's pick it up.
I observe in Justin's customers too, often there are groups of friends who all like different stuff. Like
that's my second favorite.
Yeah, second favorite. So you have like 4 or 5, men or 4 or 5 women who arrive as a group. Like their con crew.
Yeah.
And one of them will point out something that they want, and then they'll all see something they want. Then they'll read the pricing scheme and realize that if they all buy it together, it's $10 each instead of $20.
Nice.
Right, and
so
then they go away and they have a little tete-a-tete, and they put all their money together, and then they say, okay, well, we'll take these 10 things, and in the end, they've all paid half price as a result of being friends who like the same stuff.
And that's because your work is somewhat diverse in your fandoms that you cover and that kind of stuff. Like it's not just one.
Whatever. Yeah, what I like, I draw, and I kind of like stuff all over the place. Right. And I think some people.
You're a well-rounded nerd, so there's something for everybody.
That's right. Whereas most people are they do like the classic sci-fi, like it's all Star Wars stuff and Back to the Future stuff and like that 80s, great movies from like earlier. Some people do like only anime stuff. So
I was kind of getting at that. Like a lot of people are just focused on one fandom, be it comic, like superheroes or anime or Star Trek or Star Wars.
I guess it's usually like what their style works best with.
Yeah.
And
then when you're developing that customer base, what I've also seen, so I started 100% fan art free, and I did that for years. And then people just kept asking me for certain pieces in my style. And then I have maybe about 10%, maybe 15% of my total catalog at a show would be considered fan art, and the rest is my own IP. And I've seen the reverse happen in Justin's, where he's gone from like 100% fan art to like 30% of his own IP in there, and growing. Like every show, there's a little bit more. And people who are into the style, right? That's what they're buying now.
Yeah.
They like the composition. They're a little bit more of an aficionado,
But it took that 2-3 years of the loyalty thing before, they first came because of, the Gundam piece. I love that piece. But now, year 2, year 3, well, what's yours? Like, I want your stuff now.
He has this wonderful painting of just like it's like a shattered vector woman in purples, and she
sold out so quickly.
And she's just walking, and it's just like it's 100% original piece, and it's a top seller for him. And, and I have these Crossroads Guardians girls that are and we have one in the studio here, right? Every city I go to, like the symbol on it is Confusion Corner from Winnipeg.
I was just going to say, that's hilarious.
And every city I go to, this is a top seller for me. There's just something about it that connects with people, and it's so gratifying when your own work that is not derived from some other fandom creates a new fandom.
We are creators. We are gods. And gods never die.
Greg, tell me about your customers and what you notice about them.
So my wife came with me to New York Comic-Con.
That was her first convention ever, right?
The first time she'd ever stayed with me for a whole show, and I've been doing this for 10 years. It's the first time. And so what it came down to is, hey, I'm doing a lot of shows this year, dear. Do you want to come with me to a few of them? No, I don't. That's not really my scene. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll find another helper for New York Comic Con. And she said, I will do that show with you.
Going to New York?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. But it was really wonderful. But she had a great insight into who she classified she said about 3 out of every 10 of your customers look like movie directors, right? Oh, okay. Male or female. She says they're just, and she said the other group look a little bit like architects, and then the other group are super into metal. Right? And but about 70% of my like selling is to women.
Okay.
You know, like it's for some reason, and I don't think of my work as being particularly like focused in that way. I'm not like aiming at it that way, but there's something about the compositions or something about the like presentation of the female form that I do sometimes. That's my wife's, the way she parses it is to say, you know, like how you are representing women is why women like your stuff. But I don't see it necessarily as, you know, I don't understand what the big deal is, but I'm glad that they're connecting with it.
Okay. So, and what about age? Is it an older audience?
So mine is older, yeah.
Okay.
So my demographic is like the majority of my sales are probably to people in their 30s and above.
So you guys are going to kind of covering all your bases here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we often share tables side by side, and at first it was definitely like, okay, well, Greg knows what he's doing. Is he going to steal my sales? And I'm sure you had like the same reservations.
What would that look like, though? It'd be like, forget that guy. Come look at this thing.
Exactly.
So it's not like that, right? And because my work is, you know, I talk about it, it's like a Venn diagram between 40s propaganda, 30s pulps, and 60s style guides. It's a very different look and feel. Like if you grew up anywhere near a stack of old comics, you can smell the DNA of that in the work that I'm doing. Whereas if you grew up playing video games and watching manga and watching all those movies, then you see that DNA in the stuff that Justin is doing. And those are two different kind of mindsets, right? And it leans to two different demographics. And then when we combine that together in the books that we work on, it's great because now all of those people become the customer.
Yeah, often what we'll do is we'll set up side by side, and in the middle is a stack of all our books. So when I'm directing my customers over there, then Greg can kind of talk to them as well, and we talk about our collaborations. And yeah, it's worked out okay so far.
The other way that we've accidentally built loyalty is that Justin and I both, you know, we spend a lot of time working digitally. All my finishes are digital. Justin paints in Adobe Illustrator. Mm-hmm. And so we don't get a lot of time to just get our fingers dirty. And so what we both started doing is just doing a free drawing. Other people charge for sketches at cons, like that's a regular thing, but we just started doing it for free. If you bought a book, we'll draw something in it just for you.
I think you mentioned that on a previous episode. You talked about how that realization came to you.
Yeah, and that was, you know, it's so fun, number one, but it also, people realize that, you know, we're not just interested in a quick sale there. Once they've decided to buy it, now we'll actually spend some quality time with you, sort of, you know? And I think what happens, the reverse that shows, is as soon as the sale is locked, they're passed off to someone to complete it, take their money, and send them on their way. And they get the reverse experience. And so as I get busier and as I get helpers at shows and I'm doing that, I'm still trying to build in an intact moment at the end. So yes, someone can take your money. Yes, someone can pack it up or get that ready for you, but they'll still try to fit in that time to say, okay, you know, you're going to spend your time, you're going to spend your money. I'm going to spend a little bit extra just for you.
But another thing I noticed you doing this weekend is following your Instagram story. Yeah. And if you guys don't follow Greg on Instagram, please do, at GMB Chmichuk.
Yeah, GMB CHOMICHUK.
And at Chasing Artwork, Justin. Although Justin, you notice you post more of your work there, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But not so much you're really into the stories. I see that you really love the.
You treat it as a diary, right?
Yeah, I treat it like a diary.
It's kind of cool.
So my social media is not, you know, like other people are like, oh, it has to be on brand. It has to be this, that, be whatever.
You are your brand.
Right. So I just decided that cool stuff that's happening, I'll share with other people who don't get to be there.
So I noticed on your Instagram story that you had a commission this weekend.
Yeah.
So that's also part of what you do at conventions. And do you do those, Justin, as well?
I used to, not so much anymore. Drawing pictures in the books, and sometimes on the back of prints, I'll do a quick little sketch, which is another trick I stole from you. Somebody comes up to you and
says, I want... Now, did you complete that at the con?
I did. So here's the thing. I almost never do commissions at shows.
Okay.
I don't like it because it takes away from the time that I can sort of give that service away for free, which sounds funny and counterintuitive. But people are happier to get a 10-minute sketch for free sometimes than they are to spend $500 having me draw something, you know, for hours. And I don't like it either because then I don't get to interact
with people. Takes your half your day away from the rest of the people.
But this just sort of worked out great. My card reader wasn't working. And I didn't know sort of how I was going to solve that problem, but I was like, okay, fine, I just can't solve it. And then a fellow came over to me and asked me for a commission, and it was the book was full of all these greats, like David Mack was in there, and Bruce Timm was in there, and all these other people, and I just felt so honored. I didn't want to turn it down, and it had the greatest theme. Some people collect sketchbooks and they just write a theme on the front, and then they have the artist interpret that theme. It was just someone in a hat. Right? And I love the Phantom Detective, and he always wears a hat, so I knew exactly what I was going to do, so I said yes. And then it turned out that he was the vendor across the aisle from me. So I said, listen, how about this? I normally charge between $300 and $500 for a commission, but if you do me a favor and help me run my card transactions for the weekend, we'll call it even, right? So, I mean, he thought that was a huge saving, but for me, it was like an absolute lifesaver as far as, keeping the great machine turning at the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I had fun drawing something, I got to pick it. If someone comes and says, I want, Harley Quinn on a motorcycle, then you don't get a say in the commission. But this one was, you just got to interpret it. So I got to draw something I thought was fun in a style I thought I wanted to do. And he got what he wanted, and I got a service. We kind of bartered.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So it worked out great. So thanks for noticing.
Well, no, I was following along the stories. To me, it just blows me away how well Instagram stories have taken off. Because it really is a blatant ripoff of Snapchat. And I was never a Snapchat person. I tried to get into it.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried Snapchat?
Yeah. Again, it's aimed at a different demographic.
Yeah. So I was following along, and I saw your adventures in Seattle, and you went to the original Starbucks.
We did,
which looks like every other Starbucks.
Yeah, it's a little underwhelming. It's
but
the idea is monumental. But.
We're starting off we're at the sort of burgeoning stages of a few endeavors right now.
Nice.
And so I said, let's go just stand in a place where things spread from. Because Justin was like, it's not such a big deal. And I was like, no, the magic, the mystique, the mystery. He's like, it's like every Starbucks.
It is.
Forget it, buddy. We did go to Amazing Chowder Place, though.
Oh,
right
man.
By there.
Pike Place Chowder, like this. You have to line up half an hour
Soup
before it
Nazi
opens.
Place, like that kind of thing?
Well, they get your soup and get out of here. But
Yeah.
it's just amazing chowders. And it's a
I thought
Seattle
he was making
tradition.
it up. Seattle. He's like, there's this place in Seattle where people line up around the block for chowder. I'm like, no, they don't. But let's go for chowder. And we got there early. And then within 10 minutes, the lineup was stretching around the whole place. I couldn't figure it out.
And was it worth the wait?
It was delicious chowder. Yeah.
See anything you like?
So, and I saw you recently at, now you weren't there, Justin, but your work was there. Your table was there at Winterfest a couple weeks ago. And I noticed as I was passing by, and I'm very aware of not to interrupt you when you're in the middle of talking, but I did, I just kind of look at some prints, and I noticed in the back of your prints, you have a little Super Pulp Science flyer that you've got in every single print, just on the backboard kind of thing, which is awesome because that promotes your Patreon and that whole thing. Do you promote this podcast at shows?
So what happens is, yes, but not in a overt way. We're thinking about doing it a little bit more overtly at the Calgary Expo.
Okay.
But what's happened now is it's been a word of mouth thing. People always ask, and I mean, they ask you all the time. They ask everyone in comment, how'd you get into it? How'd you start? What do I need to know? Anyone who asks me that question, I tell them about the podcast. I say, listen, we made this for that exact reason. So come and check it out.
We've also, I'm going to make some Super Pulp Science podcast flyers for my next couple of shows because of business cards. I've learned over the last year or two that I used to do what everybody does. I would bring hundreds of business cards to every convention, and I would hand them out. You can go through 500 business cards in 2 days at a big show. They will just fly.
4-day show, you can do 1,000 business cards.
Yeah, which starts to add up after a while if you're doing a lot of big shows. And the return on that was very negligible. It was very, one or two emails and a little bump in social media, but nothing.
And what I started to observe is that what people do with cards, why they want the card, is a way to naturally end the conversation in a complimentary way.
I'm not going to buy your stuff, but I'll take your card.
That's right.
There you go.
Right.
So,
and they feel okay about leaving you without buying something.
Yeah.
And this is something that kind of happened because I forgot cards at one show, or it was Chicago or something like that. I didn't have any cards. But I have this huge banner with Chasing Artwork and then like all my little social media icons under it. So I started getting people to take pictures. Like, I don't have a card, but take a picture of Chasing Artwork. Everything I do is under that name. And the amount of social media bumps and like
way higher
tangible feedback I got was like 5 times what I would get handing out cards.
I have a 12 by 18 card that I have, like a big card, a card that won't fit in your pocket. So people say, "Oh, do you have a business card?" I say, "Yes," and I like lift up this huge thing, and everyone laughs and they're like, "What am I going to do with that?" I'm like, "Well, you can take a picture of it, and that's how it fits in your pocket."
That's right. That's right.
And it's exactly that. You get way more engagement because someone gets 50 cards at a show, and then they just resent all those sharp edges in their pocket and throw them away or put them in the bag and say, "Oh, I'll look at them," but they very rarely will. And then we both keep a sort of a cache of actual business cards for business.
Yeah. Right.
When someone is wanting to do business, a publisher comes, a commission person comes, someone who's interested in branding or interested in storytelling, then we give them that. And you see a direct one-to-one. But the trick that I use mostly for that even is I skip the business card. I take out my phone. I open up an email and say, the best way to keep in touch with me is send an email to yourself right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
And then they ping themselves, right? They put in the thing and they send it off to themselves, and now we're connected.
I just think a business card has kind of lost meaning for us because there's so many of them out there that
oversaturated for sure.
And even and I know many people do put their social media on a business card, but it's just not, that connection isn't there. Whereas if they take a photo, that's a great idea. They can just kind of, and they're scrolling through their photos from the con when they get home or whatever, and they're I forgot, I saw this guy and I should follow him on Twitter, and then they'll go and follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, you should have consistent branding too. Like if your booth is called Quirkylicious, right? And
shout out Quirkylicious.
Shout out to Quirkylicious. All your social media, everything you do should be Quirkylicious at Tumblr, Quirkylicious Instagram, on DeviantArt, right? Like that. So you should just have to Google that, and everything should pop up. We shouldn't have 8 different website iterations for me to try to type out, right?
Yeah. Like. Good point.
Excellent point. Justin's pretty good at branding.
I try.
He's pretty good.
Okay, so as I'm walking around Artist Alley at Winterfest, I noticed that Greg, you have a great different setup. You stand in front of your table.
When I can, when it's allowed at a show, I do.
Okay,
Yes.
And is it sometimes not allowed?
Some shows they don't want you to. They'll put in the clause saying that vendors must be behind the table.
But when you stand in front of your table, you pulled your table back, so you are not outside your footprint, which I think is really important.
Issue. So if it's if I can configure it to be in front of the work, then I do.
And you have a chair for yourself when you sit down, so you don't like you're standing the whole time. But I do notice that you're whenever I see you, and Justin, you as well, you guys are standing. You're not sitting down. Whereas when I walk around the Artist Alley, I do notice quite a few people are just sitting there at their table, behind their table, stuff's laid out, and they're just sitting there. Is there a difference between sitting and standing? Do you find you're engaging the customer more?
Yeah, standing up, eye contact. Hey, how's it going? Everything's right there if you'd like to look through, and then I kind of take a step back and let them have their way with my portfolio.
This is another thing. So here's the thing.
Have their way.
So I notice how I react to people's body language. So if I'm at a table and there's someone sitting and they're, on their
Usually
phone, or they're
phone,
eating, or they're doing whatever they're doing, and they're sitting, they're kind of turned away from the table. And then I'm engaging with their work. And then they stand up and enter into my personal space, right, in a flourish, which is usually what happens. My natural inclination is to be slightly off-put by that. Like I withdraw from somebody come sweeping into me. But if someone is standing there already, right, and you then take that psychological transaction of stepping into their space, it's a lot less disconcerting.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that partially because it's how I like to be treated, right? Is I want to be engaged on I'm standing, you're standing, you're smiling, I'm smiling. Everybody is having a good time. Once we engage, I often sit down to do the sketch, but that also serves the purpose of being now lower than them so they can watch the drawing happen.
Where do you think I don't remember when I made the decision to start standing. Was that just
alertness? For me, it's alertness. Like if you're going to be working for 4 days, you can very easily slide into a slump of, what? There's that old expression, right? wag the dog, right?
Yeah.
The tail is going to change how the dog is thinking, right? So if you're sitting down and you're slumped over your cell phone and you're, not engaged with people, well, then people aren't going to engage with you, and you're in turn not going to be very engaging. But if you, assume the posture that is required for basic human engagement, you'd be surprised how much more basic human engagement you will engage in.
Help Warp 1, engage!
You guys are learning new things all the time, I assume, at these different events.
Constantly.
Ooh, what was the new trick we just learned?
That's what I was going to ask. What are some of the new things you've learned in the last little while?
The box on the table.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so...
Maybe we shouldn't tell this one. This is great.
Let's keep this one... No. There's only a few hundred listeners.
Greg discovered this trick, and I immediately stole it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Unabashedly, he took it from me.
I told him I was going to, though, so...
Visual space is important at a show in a way that's non-intrusive on the customer, right? You can't put a banner out where people are walking, although Justin did that one time. You can't do those.
That was not me.
You can't do that kind of stuff. But you do need to have the capacity for people's eyes who are moving above the crowd, right, to touch the work and then move down towards the thing that is, present for them. And that can be really hard when you're flying, right? When we drive to a show, we can bring all kinds of wild displays, and that's great. But when you have to fit it into a suitcase, it doesn't work. And so this is combined with my tendency to like building forts with my kids. So whenever I see a pile of cardboard somewhere, and show floors are full when they're being set up of just boxes and cardboard.
Huge booths like Weta come, everything's boxed up, but as they're unpacking everything, they're just tossing those boxes.
They pile it in the corner, and then the Teamsters Union has to come and clear it all away. And the Funko booths, which are everywhere, right, have these long oblong boxes. So they're tall when you stand them upright, and they're the perfect size to hold 12 by 18. They're basically 24 inches across, so you can have two 12 by 18s, and you can have them in 3 or 5 ups, depending when you stack the box. So I just tape my prints all around one of these boxes and make a pillar, right? That is a display pillar.
Beautiful art hiding the box behind it.
Right.
Oh.
So it looks like you built this incredible display, or like how could you possibly travel with this? But it's really light and it's easy. And when the show people come, they also inspect your booth sometimes, because if stuff is stacked too high and it seems like a danger, right, they'll make you take it down. But like a box is not a danger. So they'll look at it and be like, oh, okay, well, no problem. And then it creates a hollow. We have clamps too, so we clamp the box to the table so it can't fall over. And then on the reverse side is a hollow where your point of sale machine can go, where your notebook can go, where your food, your drinks, all the clutter that makes a booth seem like a garbage dump sometimes.
Because really, you're living in the space for 4 days, and it does become pretty filthy by the time you're done.
Yeah.
Do you have a picture of your booth on your Instagram from Seattle as well?
I should have, yeah. There's one on there.
Okay,
for
so
sure.
check that out on Instagram if you have.
Just that awesome little pillow of art right on your table, and that was just scavenging when the show started. Going back to standing as well, me and my buddy at Seattle, we're standing for 4 days on concrete floor, not great for your feet. So we also went and got some boxes. And we didn't have those, nice little plush mats that a lot of booths get, but we just stacked like cardboard mats for basically our feet. And I noticed that made a huge difference. Standing all day as well. So that's a good pro tip to save your feet.
I'm 9-10 years as a classroom teacher too, so standing all day is par for the course for me. So that's not a big deal. But the guys often make fun of me because I do yoga in the morning and then yoga at night. And, you got to... Your back is the only one you got, so you got to take care of it, right? So if you are planning to stand all day, it's a lot more work than it sounds like.
Anything else? I can't think of anything else to ask you guys.
You don't have any questions? You have no more questions for us?
I'm blinking.
That's it. After 22 episodes, that's the only mysteries that have stood.
Proxies?
What's that?
A proxy. We need a proxy.
Proxies.
My gosh, if you're listening, get in touch.
What I did at Winterfest.
Okay.
So I could not attend Winterfest, unfortunately, so I had to get a friend man the booth for me. So it was not the artist selling the art at my table. And I'm not sure.
It's turning your art setup, what we do, into a franchise or
Ooh,
a retail,
that's a great idea.
Right? basically. But
at Emerald City, like I had a lot of people coming up who were so thrilled that I was actually the artist because so many of the booths there, the artwork, the artist is not there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
That's a pretty common thing. So we want to do that because there are 50 shows that we can't go to physically, but we'd like to get our work there. So we're currently accepting applications for trustworthy proxies in Canada and the U.S. The trick being that working a convention for an art booth takes a certain type of psychology. Internally. Like you have to be good at the mental endeavor of being present for 40 hours over 3 days, engaging pleasantly with people and answering their questions. It's not just about making the money. You're trying to get them to say, hey, I had a pleasant time with this art and this brand, so that they remember that pleasant time later, when they find it again. So if you're out there, get in touch.
But the downside being that you are not there to sign the piece if they want to have it signed. You're not there to draw your little sketches that you guys do.
That's right.
So that is that's kind of funny that they're just kind of people are pushing back against that kind of thing because it's about the genuine experience of interacting with the artist.
And so bringing it back full circle to your original question, that's one of the strong arguments for the Artist Alley.
Artist alleys usually have rules against proxies. Like if a booth has a huge setup and the artist will not be there, there usually can be found at vendors. If you try to do that in Artist Alley, there's a good chance you'll get in trouble.
Is Artist Alley less expensive than the vendors?
It is. Okay. It's built for beginners. Was kind of the general idea, starting out.
Beginners or like people who have credits.
Yeah.
Basically, it's intended for someone who wants to break in, so they want to show their work to people, or people who have credits in books, so that if an editor is walking around, they may discover a new artist.
Right.
In that way. So it has the ancillary sort of benefit to editors that all of those people that they might be looking for can be in one place. The time that I got a meeting with Scholastic was because I was in Artist Alley. So there is a benefit to certain segments of the Congours, but I think the majority of people who come to shows, right, should be shown the majority of things there are to see at shows.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Okay, and do people do that? Like at a con the size of Emerald City, are people able to do that? Do you think? Is that if you would have to go there because it's so big? You have to go over the whole 4 days to get to see everything, right? Is that the idea, or do you find that people just kind of go to one place? Or
4-day pass holders try to see it all.
Yeah. 1-day pass holders, I usually ask, so did you manage to see everything? And
the answer
usually
is no.
It's emphatic no.
But, a lot of 1-day pass holders don't want to see everything, and that's what I hear too. It's like, well, I don't need to go to the cosplay panel, and I don't want to go to see the celebrities, I'm just here for... hard to find Lego and Funkos. And other people are like, well, I just really want to get a sketch from Eric Larson.
What's wrong with Funkos?
Right?
I think, I didn't hate Funkos until I started doing conventions and their overwhelming success and just how.
But wouldn't you love it if that was your?
Oh, absolutely.
People loved your.
It's totally just me being like a grump about Funkos everywhere, but. They're killing it.
Yeah, no, they are. And what I don't get about it is that.
We even have Funkos in the studio.
Yeah, but I guess it's like you can express your fandom. It's all these characters, but they all kind of look the same. That's the idea, right? They all have the same kind of big eyes and that kind of thing.
It's spun out of that vinyl, that low run vinyl craze, sort of that happened for a while, big in LA, where different artists, street artists, would sort of paint over, overpaints over the monies. Yeah. And Funko is kind of a natural extension of that idea.
Interesting.
I mean, it's wild to watch.
The huge booth at Emerald City is like a 50 by 30 booth, and you cannot just go there to buy stuff. You have to have a ticket that you bought online to get in line for the Funko booth.
Wow.
And then if they have stock left, as I understand it, then they do sell some. But for the most part, it's
all
huge
pre-sold.
People are just super
just picking up their Funko.
Because it's an Emerald City exclusive. It was some kind of Batman.
I think that they had a Hulk and a Batman. I don't know. I'm not into the Funko scene. But what I like about it is that people it makes them smile so much.
Yeah,
like it's like it's a cartoon character or a it's like, and they have from every fandom you can think of now, right? Represented. And what makes people happy, I guess, is
the
that's
second
fine.
the show floor opens, we'll know because people will suddenly be sprinting past to get into that line first. And I think I'm just bitter because I want that.
You want people to sprint.
I want people to sprint to my booth.
You'll get there one day. Yeah, you have to, keep it up. You'll get there for sure. What is it? The next show you guys are going to?
C2E2.
You'll be at C2. We'll both be at C2E2.
Calgary, right?
And then
C2E2 is Chicago.
And then Calgary.
When is C2E2?
It's the second weekend in April.
Oh, damn it!
And
I'm going to be out there in May.
Yeah, second weekend in April, and then the end of April is Calgary, which is like our...
I'm going to Chicago when you guys are going to Calgary.
Well, this has been Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made, in particular, how we try to make it at shows this time. I encourage all of you to join the fight and make comics.